Hey there, well happy Monday, it's me Jerry. Well, welcome back. It's Veterans Day, so we want to thank all of those who are serving, who have served, and give so much to all of us. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Today it's going to be a little different. I'm not going to have a full-on tour for you. That's because we're doing some chores today. We've been cutting down plants and digging up things because this weekend, we go grab the strawberries for me. So this weekend we went and we got strawberries because I told my husband that he could have this bed for his strawberry growing dreams. So we went out and we got some strawberries. I only found 4 of the variety that I actually want to grow this year. But in the meantime, I also kind of was thinking about the fact that we've never had any success with strawberries. So what could we do to make the best environment for strawberries? So the first thing that we decided to do was test our soil's pH. And we're actually going to do that today too. So we got a little kit here. We picked this up at Summerwind, and you can find some on the internet. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it, but this one is simple to use, and we found out that this bed over here is pretty alkaline. Now there's a lot of things that you can do to solve for that, but we're gonna first start by testing the rest of our beds, and then we're gonna chat with you about what we're gonna do to bring down the pH in this bed, and also a little bit about what it means and why your pH matters in your soil. So let's get to it. So you go about 4 inches down in the soil, and you're just gonna get a little bit in your tube.
It has lines. You fill it up to that line right there, the first line. So you do that. So just grab it with your fingers. No, down at the bottom.
So there's a little capsule in the packet, and you just kind of open that up, and it's got some powder in it.
Sorry.
And sprinkle it down in there with the soil. Okay, so now you just, we're gonna add water to it. And you're supposed to use distilled water, and we're using like a purified bottle of water.
Shake vigorously.
So here are the results, and golly, you can't really see it. Either way we try to do it, but, which is, okay, so this is the first one that we tested from this bed over here, and it definitely looks, you know, alkaline. This one is from that bed over there, bed 1, and it looks even darker. You know, out of the mouth of babes, Maisie said in there, you know, if they're all the same color, I think I would tell my audience that I'm gonna try another test. Especially this one's the one that really drives me crazy, because there's a tomato over there just growing like crazy, and it should not be happy in a super alkaline bed. So for right now, we're gonna focus on bed number 2 because it's the only thing that we're looking to plant in right now. So let's chat about what we're gonna do over there. So this bed here is, you know, only as deep as the bottom, and it kind of has a netting below it. So maybe it's 5 or 6 inches deep. What we're gonna do is we're gonna add blood meal to it and a bunch of organic matter. You could actually also, a lot of people use different kinds of sulfur, but sulfur doesn't stay around. It's something that has to keep being added, and since we're all about organic matter anyway, that's kind of the approach that we're gonna take. Now, we'll chat a little bit more in a minute about blood meal and what it does for your plants. But first of all, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start working on this bed. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in and we're gonna put some blood meal in, and then we're gonna come back in with some manure, and then we're gonna top that out with peat moss, because that's supposed to be really helpful in bringing down the pH of soil. So we're gonna let that hang out for a week, keep kind of watering it through. My original plan was to retest it in a week before we planted the strawberries, but we gotta find a good test before then. He's freaking out because it's blood meal, and you know that's actually
Blood?
Blood from animals dried out.
Yeah.
He's all grossed out. So we're just putting in like a tablespoon per foot, because you don't want to apply too much of this. It actually adds quite a bit of nitrogen to your soil. So, you know, we had that collard green over there, and I took it out because it's okay to apply blood meal to already established plants, the soil that is, but it doesn't do well with seedlings. So I moved that seedling over to bed 1, and we're getting this application of blood meal in here.
Yeah.
Now you don't ever want to apply blood meal to dry soil, so that's why we kind of had this lightly watered, and then we took a little bit of soil out because I need to put a lot of matter over here, so we just kind of raked it back a little bit to get that worked in there. So now we're gonna rake it a little bit more to just kind of get that to meld with the soil and go from there.
Yeah. So do I just smooth it out, you think?
Or use the little rake.
Yeah.
You think you're gonna use your hands to touch the blood?
Yeah, sure. Yay. Ew.
Okay, so now we're gonna get the manure and the peat moss. I thought I had some compost, but I couldn't find any just now when I went looking, but manure is still organic matter, so we'll take that.
I don't know why this doesn't bother as much as blood, but
Yeah, dried cow poop is not as bad as dried blood. That's cow's blood is what the blood meal is they dry it up at the slaughterhouse and turn it into a giant pile of meal. Some animals eat it too. It's a big source of protein.
not this animal. I ate a lot of stuff too. Some good blood meal stew.
Feels like you're what?
Playing with fresh manure.
Manure?
Manure, that's how you say it.
How do you say it?
Manure.
Oh, manure?
Manure.
So it feels like fresh, warm manure?
Manure, yeah. Peat moss.
Yep.
Let me check.
It looked like a lot of it was still powdery, but I guess not.
Think all this?
Yeah. I'll help you get the chunks. So we had to spend some time getting dirty to break up that peat moss. And now we're just watering it in a little bit so that it'll soak through and everything will happily marry, hopefully. So this is our attempt to add organic matter to this bed, and I still might come back in with maybe some earthworm castings to go on top just to really top off the edges and stuff there. So like I said, I don't have a super big tour for you today because we're kind of coming to some transition times in the bed. But that's that collard green from bed 2. This week I'm gonna get in here and get a bunch of weeding done, and I might take those carrots out. We're just waiting on this okra to pass away, and I'm gonna take out all these squashes, and then we'll just have kale over here in this bed until we get ready to break down this bed, because this is the first bed that we're gonna change out, and that's because if you could see down there at the bottom, it's on its last legs, and so we don't want this to bust and get dirt all over the pool deck. So once the tomato is finished, so will this bed. We know what's going on with bed 2, and we've got bunches of flowers coming in over here, and May just planted some nasturtia over here. All of the brassicas look awesome. They look like they're getting ready to start making their first browns of veggies for us. This dango thing is bolting, so I'm gonna have to plant some more and get these leaves off. I trimmed back all the kale that was here because it had some aphids on it, and this way it'll get the plant to come back up. Here's some chard that we've got going on. Here's some Lacento kale. Mustard greens, looking super happy, and you know, all this has gone to aphid heaven. This is just crazy, and some of the leaves are starting to pass away, which in my research this week is supposed to indicate that, you know, they're getting ready to be pulled out, but I just have so little experience. I don't know what the deal is. So my husband said just let it go wild, and so we shall. Okay, so the number one reason why you should be concerned, and obviously I haven't all this time, a reason why you should give your soil's pH consideration because if things just aren't working and you're getting the right light and you're fertilizing and everything seems like it's okay, a lot of times what could be going on is an issue with your soil's pH, especially if you use native soil, and oftentimes like me, even with soil that you make. Now the reason why pH matters is because where your soil's pH is not only affects how your plants grow, but it also affects your plant's abilities to take up nutrients. So if our soil in bed 2 really is super alkaline, and it really is our least performing bed, so it is possible in our consideration, we're just surprised about the rest of the beds, but if it really does have an issue, that would explain why it's not growing so well, because with an alkaline level pH of 8, that means that not very few of the nutrients are getting taken up by the plants. So maybe it's not just the fact that this is a shady area, it could be that there's something wrong with the pH. So that's a reason why you would want to give your soil's pH consideration is perhaps it's just not performing the way that your other beds are. And that's why we did it. So when you get yourself the little test kit, ours on the back gives pH for the desirable pH for most plants. And so since we were looking to plant strawberries over here, strawberries like a pH range of 5.0 to 7.5. So that's where we're hoping to go with that bed. And you know, like the reason why the tomatoes were so surprising to me is because tomatoes like a 5.5 to 7.5 pH range. So if that bed is like almost an 8 in alkaline, why do those tomatoes taste so tomatoey? Why do they taste so acidic? But that's a good guide to have. So if you're having some issues or you're just curious, you want to be consistently improving your garden, maybe check out a soil test, and if they're all exactly the same, do like me and try again with another test. Okay, so we did a lot of work today in our garden and we got a lot accomplished. We got a lot of planting done. We've got flowers all here under the ladder and we planted some flowers out front. We got everything going with bed 2 and we got to figure out something with the soil test system, but it was fun nonetheless, and I'm glad that we got some rehab going for this bed over here. So I hope you enjoyed what we had to share today, and I hope that you've got some cool stuff going on in your garden. And let me know, have you tested your soil? Have you checked your pH? And what kind of results have you got?